Welcome Schuco and Tintoy fans. Today we're going to take a look at a fairly rare model by Schuco. It's the Schuco Magico 2010 Alfa Romeo, built from 1964 to 1966, only 2 or 3 years. It's fairly unusual for Schuco to have built cars other than Mercedes or maybe Porsche. To build an Alfa Romeo is pretty unusual for Schuco. So let's take a look at what's in the box. Very colorful box. They didn't sell a lot of these toys. Look on the side there, it talks about what the car can do. It's definitely a wind-up car, not a battery operated car. And on the end panel there you can see there's a key, so it shows it's a wind-up, and there's a red dot, which is a little orange now, but it shows it's a red car was sold in that box. And these are the various things it can do magically. Starts and stops by a magic wand, or putting a handkerchief over it, or blowing in the top. Looks like somebody tore off the price tag there. So it's a really beautiful box. This particular example I bought on auction, not on eBay, but on a regular live auction. And it actually is a very, very nice example. So it came with a remote control steering, and also a Schuco #3 key, one of the larger keys that Schuco made. It's a pretty big spring in that car, so you need kind of a larger key to wind that spring. And then there's the car itself. Really nice example. Looks almost brand new. And there's the steering cable for the remote. So take a look at the metal work on this car. Really nice, nice metal work. Beautiful stainless steel or chrome. Really nice paint. Schuco did a great job with these cars. Such quality work. And there's your interior. And that's what controls the start and stop. It's either the antenna or the little hat rack in the back there, and it also steers. And on the bottom it says, of course, Schuco Magico, made in Western Germany, and 2010 is the model number. Great metal work. Beautiful paint. So what I don't have with this car is I don't have the instruction sheet. So if you happen to have an instruction sheet that you'd like to sell me, I'd love to buy it. Here's the bottom of that box, all the contemporary toys of that time. So here's an actual 1964 Alfa Romeo Giulia 1600. Note that the hood scoop's a little different than our toy, but this is what the car was based on, this Italian Alfa Romeo. And here is how the remote steering would work. You have the remote steering wheel itself, and then you have the cable. So you kind of unwrap the cable. It's fairly stiff. And then there's two ends to the cable, which are identical. So each end would fit into either the steering wheel itself or into the car. So you just kind of press those ends into the steering wheel right there. You press that onto that little axle right there. And on the other end, there's a little axle sticking up out of the hood, and you just press it onto there. And then you could steer the car remotely. Several of the Schuco cars had that feature. So here's some close-ups of the car itself. Again, just beautiful, beautiful metal work, especially for such a mass-produced car. Just amazing. So let's take a look at how the Magico actually works. We take that #3 Schuco key and wind up that big spring in there. We'll need the leverage of that big key to wind up that big spring. There we go, 8 or 10 revolutions there, 8 or 10 turns. Put it on the floor, correct the steering, and then just touch the antenna, and it goes forward. And around she goes. And then you touch it one more time and it stops. Touch it again and it goes. It'll last quite a while with that big spring in there. We stop it and we try hitting the hat rack, touching the hat rack, and that'll make it go. You could blow in the top too on the hat rack and that would start it and stop it. And there she goes. Alright. Here's our Alfa Romeo. So that ends our episode on the Schuco Magico Alfa Romeo. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and please consider subscribing. Thank you very much, everyone, and good night.